So one of the things I did want to do is to approach this from a slightly different position. We take for granted everything that's been said already, which is a good description of where life in our times has taken us. But I thought that what I might do is, instead of doing a quick review of things in our own lifetime, although I'll try and squeeze that in, I thought it'd be useful to talk about doing a quick dance through time. So what I'm going to do is to talk about the relationship of moral psychiatry to another number of things that have actually impinged on everybody's life, and that is that there are these exciting moments that take place in our lives. Suddenly a vast scene opens before you. There are new possibilities, and there's hope, and it looks as if we've got the game by the throat. I came to moral psychiatry through the benefit of starting life in Lowell at the Harry C. Solomon Mental Health Center back in 1966. And the first superintendent and a historian, an author of books about moral psychiatry, was John Sanborn Bockoven. And he and I spent quite a lot of time together, like 10 years. He also suffered from vertigo for a number of months in his early days. So we travelled up to Lowell together. We were neighbouring towns, and I got an earful of moral psychiatry, and it sort of tweaked my interest because it also laid the foundation for a lot of other things that actually took place in both stretches of time and in the manner in which it was arrived at, and the manner in which it was executed, and of course the manner in which it died. I mean, has anybody here heard of moral psychiatry? Yes, I'm sure a few people have, yes. So anyway, let me go back and do the biographical thing just to get that out of the way. Then I went over I came to the US. I got connected up with the BU School of Medicine and started to learn about child psychiatry with the assistance of Dr. Pavenstedt and Dr. Rexford, thank you. Names slip your mind sometimes. Once you hit 90, you notice it. So anyway, we trained in that, and then the very next thing that happened, we were part of the system of child psychiatry clinics all over the state, and I was assigned to Lowell, and I didn't know at the time, but there were plans afoot to build a mental health center right there, and we watched that grow, and then we moved over into the mental health center. And so that was when I started to learn about moral psychiatry. And I think that the salient aspect of it, as I'm going to describe it, was that this, let us say we started with Philippe Pinel in Paris. And I think that story is well circulated. From there, the next move was to the Tuke family in London, not in London, in England, at the York Retreat. And they were both, Pinel and Tuke were writing at about the same time. And they caused a revolution. Once the idea caught on that you could actually improve the hospital, the state of affairs within it, the safety, and the discharge rate by just doing the things that were pretty much the formula. Open the doors, let people feel welcome when they arrive, do the things that we know about, which was reduce physical contact, shackles, anything that restrained people. And but primarily it was the attitude of the staff. So having done all those things, people started to notice. The new batch of superintendents that picked up on this and really wanted to go to the hospitals and straighten them were young doctors who were talking furiously about the possibilities and talking to their boards, and everyone got on board very quickly. And the next thing that happened was that it was the actual formula for success. People wrote about it. Writers were fascinated. Philosophers thought this was the right way to go for the society as a whole. And the basic understanding was that you could, in fact, improve the welfare of not only the patients in these hospitals, the mentally ill and others, but you could improve the community at the same time. That stayed in place for a good number of years. It was proved, it was reproved, statistics were taken, and on the basis of the statistics they were able to demonstrate that the discharge rates improved, that people got better, the behaviour in the hospitals was vastly improved. Even Dickens wrote about that. It was really a transformation that came about through this single philosophic break. So anyway, the whole problem was solved. Moral psychiatry had its way. Somewhere towards the end of their lives, some of the very best of these doctors started to argue whether the statistics they'd been working with 50 years earlier were really as we thought they were. And they went back and they reworked the statistics, and they added onto it a theory that they really weren't true, that someone had been fudging the results. Eventually, the argument grew so strong that they convinced their boards, they convinced the community, they convinced anybody who had anything to do with funding in the counties or the towns, all came to believe that, and this was the big point, insanity was permanent. That was the outcome of this very strange turn of events. Insanity, you couldn't count on people getting better and keeping up these statistics under the present circumstances. Now you've got to remember, the present circumstances were, at that time, civil war, a long stint of war, gold rushes, migrants, and Ireland emptying out its communities across the Atlantic and into the hospitals, literally. So finally that became doctrine. Insanity is incurable. You don't have to pay a lot of money to keep people in expensive hospitals with a lot of staff. You can cut the money, the result will be the same. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. There was no more funding, and it lasted for 100 years.